Cyanide smells like bitter almonds, but by the time you smell it, it is usually too late. Arsenic, the assassin's favorite, has almost no taste at all, perhaps a faint metallic tang, easily masked by a heavy garlic sauce or the sweetness of a spiced wine. Welcome to Dulled History. Tonight, we are stripping away the romance of court life to examine the singular, terrifying existence of a royal food taster. We often imagine this job as a life of luxury, eating the king's leftovers and drinking the finest vintages. In reality, it was a daily game of Russian roulette played with a fork, a life of chronic anxiety where every meal could be your last and indigestion was a cause for terror. Get comfortable. You are about to step into the velvet shoes of a servant in a Renaissance court, where the most beautiful banquet tables are actually battlefields. The year is 1502, and the location is a sprawling ducal palace in northern Italy. You wake not to the sound of roosters or bells, but to the silence of your own body. This is your first ritual of the day, before you even open your eyes. You lie perfectly still on your straw mattress, conducting an internal inventory. Is there a cramp in your stomach, a burning in your throat, a strange heaviness in your limbs? You breathe in, feeling the air fill your lungs, and only when you are certain that you have survived the night do you allow yourself to exhale. You are alive. You have cleared the digestions of yesterday's dinner. But the sun is rising, gray and pale, through the narrow slit of your chamber window, and the hunger of the Duke will soon return. You push off the heavy wool blanket, the damp cold of the stone floor biting into the soles of your feet. Your room is small, tucked away in the servants' quarters, but unlike the scullery maids or the stable boys, you are afforded a certain level of privacy. This isn't out of respect for your station, but out of paranoia. A food taster cannot be compromised. If you slept in the common barracks, who is to say an assassin couldn't slip a few coins to a laundry boy to slice your throat or, worse, bribe you to look the other way? So you sleep alone. The isolation is the first price you pay. You wash your face in a basin of water that has formed a thin skin of ice overnight. Hygiene is paramount. You are the final vessel the food touches before it reaches the lips of the sovereign. You must be clean, presentable, and invisible. You pull on your hose and your tunic, the fabric stiff and smelling faintly of lavender herb used to ward off lice, but also, you've been told, a scent that masks the smell of sickness. Stepping into the corridor, the palace is already breathing. You can hear the distant clang of iron from the armory and the muffled rhythmic sweeping of the lower halls. But your destination is the heart of the beast, the kitchens. As you descend the winding service stairs, the temperature begins to rise. The damp chill of the stone gives way to a humid, cloying warmth. The air grows thick, no longer smelling of cold dust, but of rendering fat, wood smoke, and the sharp, acidic tang of vinegar. Entering the great kitchen is like stepping into the belly of a forge. Even at this early hour, the cavernous room is a hive of frantic motion. There are 20 staff members moving in complex orbit spitboys, turning heavy iron cranks, sauce chefs whisking copper bowls with furious intensity, and scullions hauling baskets of onions and turnips that still carry the scent of the wet earth. In the center of it all stands the master cook. He is a man of immense girth and immense stress, wiping sweat from his brow with a flour-stained cloth. When you walk in, the rhythm of the kitchen stumbles for a fraction of a second. They do not like you. To the cooks, you are an insult. Your very presence implies that their food is suspect, that their loyalty is in question. To the kitchen porters, you are a barrier, a bottleneck that slows down the service and makes the food go cold. You walk to your designated station, a small, sturdy table near the pass, separated from the chaos of the prep stations. This is the credenza. In modern times, the word refers to a piece of furniture, but here, in the 16th century, the credenza is a process. It is the act of establishing trust. The Duke's breakfast is being assembled. It is a lighter affair than the evening banquet, but no less dangerous. Today, it consists of a loaf of fine white manchet bread, a bowl of stewed figs, and a silver goblet of watered wine. Simple items, yet each one presents a unique topography for poison. Bread can be laced during the kneading stage, the powder vanished into the flour. Figs are dark and sweet, their seeds providing a perfect visual camouflage for foreign granules. Wine is the oldest delivery system in history. A liquid can hide 1,000 sins. The master cook approaches the credenza, signaling a junior boy to bring the tray. He does not look you in the eye. He places the silver platter on your table with a clatter that feels aggressive. For the Duke, he grunts, turning back to his fires. Now your work begins. You do not simply grab a fork and eat. There is a protocol, a ceremony of safety that must be adhered to. You produce your tools. From a velvet pouch at your belt, you withdraw a knife with a handle of agate and a strange, spiral-twisted piece of bona unicorn horn. In truth, it is the tusk of a narwhal, sold by northern traders for the price of a small estate. It is believed to sweat or change color in the presence of venom. You know deep down that this is likely superstition, but you run the tip of the horn over the bread crust anyway. You dip it into the wine. You watch the bone intently, looking for a shift in hue, a bubble, a sign. Nothing happens. The horn remains white. The superstition is for the Duke's peace of mind. The eating is for his survival. You take your knife and slice a wedge from the specific loaf that will be served. You cannot taste a decoy loaf. You must eat from the source. You tear a piece of the soft, white crumb. You look at it. You smell it. Smell is your first line of defense. A good poisoner uses tasteless compounds, but a clumsy one, and there are many clumsy assassins, might use wolfsbane or hemlock, which carry vegetal bitter scents. You inhale deeply. The bread smells of yeast and wood oven char. Nothing acrid. You place the bread in your mouth. You do not swallow immediately. You let it sit on your tongue. You chew slowly, pressing the paste against the roof of your mouth. You are hunting for texture. Glass powder, ground so fine it looks like sugar, will feel gritty against your teeth. It will tear the lining of the throat over time, causing a slow, agonizing death by internal bleeding. You feel for grit. The bread is smooth. You swallow. Next, the figs. You cut one open, examining the interior. Is the flesh consistent? Has a needle been inserted to inject a fluid? You take a spoonful of the stewed fruit. The sweetness is overwhelming, which is terrifying. Sweetness masks bitterness. You concentrate, trying to isolate the flavor profile. Honey, cinnamon, fig. Is there something else? A burning sensation, a numbing of the lips. Belladonna causes the pupils to dilate and the mouth to go dry, but monkshood causes immediate tingling. You wait. You feel the slide of the fruit down your esophagus. Finally, the wine. You pour a small amount from the Duke's flagon into your personal assay cup. You swirl it. You hold it to the candlelight. Cloudiness in a clear vintage could indicate a precipitate. You take a sip. It is tart, acidic, familiar. Now comes the hardest part of the job. You sit. There is a stool beside the credenza. You sit down, fold your hands in your lap, and you wait. The kitchen continues its chaotic symphony around you, knives chopping against wood, the hiss of fat hitting fire, the shouting of orders. But you are in a bubble of silence. You are listening to your own biology. The protocol dictates a waiting period. Usually it is an hour before the food can be served to see if the taster reacts. For breakfast, the Duke is impatient, so the window is shortened to 30 minutes. 30 minutes is a long time to wonder if you are dying. You watch the sand run through a small hourglass on the table. 5 minutes pass. Your stomach gurgles. Your heart leaps into your throat. Is that the cramp? Is that the beginning of the end? You focus. No, it is just hunger. You haven't eaten since yesterday afternoon. The gurgle is natural. You force your breathing to slow down. Panic mimics the symptoms of many poisons: shortness of breath, racing heart, sweating. If you panic, you might trigger a false alarm, causing the kitchen to be purged and the cooks to be tortured. You cannot afford to be wrong. 10 minutes. You feel a slight itch on your left arm. Is it a rash? You scratch it. It fades, just dry skin. You look at the tray of food. It is getting cold. The cook glares at you from across the room. He knows that if the food is cold, the Duke will complain and the cook will be blamed. But he cannot touch the tray until you release it. You are the gatekeeper. 15 minutes. You run your tongue over your teeth. No metallic taste. No excessive salivation. You feel normal. The boredom sets in, which is its own kind of torture. You are sitting in a room full of food, smelling the roasting meats of the upcoming lunch, and you are starving, yet you cannot eat anything but the potential poison in your belly. 20 minutes. The door to the kitchen swings open and the steward enters. He is the head of the household, a man in black velvet with a silver chain of office. He looks at the hourglass, then at you. Well, he asks. No effect, senor, you say. Your voice is steady. The Duke is awake, the steward says, tapping his foot. He asks for his figs. 10 minutes remain, you state. You do not waver. The rules of the credenza are written in blood. If you release the food early and the Duke dies, you will be drawn and quartered in the public square. If you make the Duke wait and the food is safe, you will only be yelled at. You choose the yelling. The final grains of sand slip through the glass. You stand up. You feel fine. You take a white linen napkin, your personal napkin, which stays on your person to ensure no one has dusted it with powder, and you cover the tray. You pick it up. It is safe, you announce. The procession begins. You do not just hand the tray to a server. You accompany the food. You, the steward, and 2 armed guards leave the kitchen. You march through the stone corridors, up the service stairs, and into the opulent hallways of the residence. The walls here are hung with tapestries depicting hunting scenes, hounds tearing into stags. You try not to look at them. You reach the heavy oak doors of the Duke's private chambers. The guards at the door nod to the steward. They open the way. The room smells of ambergris and expensive wax. The Duke is sitting in a chair by the fire, wrapped in a fur-lined robe. He looks tired. His eyes are shadowed. He, too, lives in fear, perhaps even more than you. You are afraid of the food. He is afraid of everyone. His brother, his wife, the Pope, the neighboring republics, anyone could be the architect of his demise. You are his shield. You place the tray on the small table beside him. He does not look at the food. He looks at you. It is a searching look, scanning your face for signs of pallor, sweating, or pain. He is reading you like a medical chart. The figs are good, your grace, you say, bowing low. Sweet, with no bitterness. He nods slowly. He reaches out a hand, heavily ringed with gold and rubies, and picks up a fig. He hesitates. He watches you one last time. If you were to collapse now, foaming at the mouth, he would recoil. But you stand still, hands clasped behind your back, projecting health and vitality. He eats. You are dismissed. You back out of the room, bowing, leaving the Duke to his breakfast. The heavy doors close with a thud. You exhale. You have survived breakfast. But as you walk back towards the kitchen, the relief is short-lived. The sun is higher now. The deliveries are arriving at the palace gates. Carts of vegetables from the local farms, barrels of wine from the vineyards, carcasses of wild boar and pheasant from the huntsmen. Every single apple, every drop of wine, every grain of salt is a suspect. And the great banquet is tonight. There will be 20 courses. There will be foreign dignitaries. There will be hundreds of potential points of failure. You return to the credenza. The kitchen is now in full swing for the midday meal. The heat is oppressive. You wipe sweat from your forehead, careful not to touch your mouth. You wash your hands again in a basin of vinegar and water. The master cook slams a chopping block with a cleaver, decapitating a chicken. The sauce for the venison, he barks at a subordinate. It needs more verjuice. You watch the sauce being made. It is a dark, glossy reduction of red wine, currants, and spices. It is thick and opaque, a nightmare to test. If there are crystals of arsenic in that sauce, they will not dissolve. They will be suspended in the dark liquid, invisible to the eye. You will have to rely entirely on the texture. You realize, standing there, that your life is measured in mouthfuls. A normal person eats to nourish themselves, to enjoy the flavor, to socialize. You eat to prove a negative. You eat to prove that death is not present. It is a profoundly lonely act. You cannot enjoy the food because the food is the enemy. Your stomach gives a sharp twinge. You freeze. You grab the edge of the table. Is it the figs? Was it a slow-acting toxin? Some poisons, like the cantarella used by the Borgias, are said to take hours or even days to work, mimicking a natural wasting disease. Was the bread tainted? You wait for the second twinge. It doesn't come. It was just gas, just the body digesting. But the adrenaline spike leaves your hands shaking. You hide them under your apron. You cannot show weakness. If you look sick, they will think you have been poisoned, and the panic will begin. You look at the array of ingredients waiting for you. A pile of silver spoons, a stack of clean napkins, the unicorn horn. This is your toolkit. This is your battlefield. And it is only 9:00 a.m. The mid-morning lull offers no respite. While the cooks prep the roast, you are responsible for the dry goods check. You move to the pantry. This is a secured room, locked with 3 keys, one held by the steward, one by the head cook, and one by you. The door creaks open, revealing shelves stacked with sacks of flour, barrels of salted fish, and jars of spices. Spices are the currency of the era. Pepper, cinnamon, cloves, nutmeg. They are worth their weight in gold. They are kept under lock and key not just to prevent theft, but because their strong, pungent flavors are the perfect mask for bitterness. A heavy hand with the nutmeg can hide a lethal dose of hemlock. You open the spice box. The aroma is intoxicating, a heady mix of the exotic East. You have to taste the raw spices. This is a particular misery, chewing on a whole peppercorn or placing a pinch of raw ground cloves on your tongue. It burns, it numbs the mouth. It makes it harder to taste the next thing, but you do it. You take a pinch of saffron, the red threads staining your fingers. You taste it. Metallic, hay-like bitter. But is it the wrong kind of bitter? You have to know the difference between the natural bitterness of saffron and the chemical bitterness of poison. You have become a connoisseur of bitterness. You move to the salt barrel. Salt is white and granular. Arsenic is white and granular. You dissolve a spoonful of salt in water. You look for sediment. You taste the brine. It is just salt. This constant assault on your palate is exhausting. Your tongue feels swollen, your senses dulling. You rinse your mouth with water, spitting it into a bucket. You are not allowed to swallow the test samples from the pantry. It would be too much volume. You use the spit technique, swirling the liquid over your taste buds and then expelling it. It is less safe than swallowing, as some poisons can be absorbed through the mucous membranes, but it is a necessary risk to avoid vomiting from overeating. As you lock the pantry, you hear a commotion in the courtyard. A delivery of game birds has arrived. The Duke's hunting party has returned. This introduces a new variable, the arrow. Sometimes hunters use poison tips to bring down large game. If the cook doesn't cut out the flesh around the wound cleanly, the meat itself can be tainted. You will have to inspect the carcasses. You walk out into the bright sunlight of the courtyard. The light hurts your eyes after the gloom of the pantry. The pheasants are piled on a cart, their feathers iridescent green and copper. They look beautiful. They look dead. You pick one up, feeling the warmth still in the body. You search for the entry wound. You probe the flesh. You are looking for discoloration, for the blackening that indicates a tainted arrow. The hunters are laughing, drinking wine from skins, boasting of their kills. They are oblivious to you. To them, the bird is a trophy and a meal. To you, it is a forensic puzzle. You find the wound on the breast of a large pheasant. The flesh is red and clean. No black streaks, no smell of rot. You nod to the kitchen porter. Take it. You return to the kitchen. The heat has intensified. The roasting fires are built up high. The spit boys are stripped to their waists, sweating profusely. The air is thick with the smell of searing meat. It should be appetizing. It smells nauseating. You check the water barrels. Water is the most common carrier of disease, if not poison. Cholera, typhoid, dysentery, these are the slow killers. You have a silver cup. Silver is thought to purify water, another superstition, but it also reacts with certain acids. You drink. The water is tepid and tastes of the wood barrel. It is safe. The hours drag on. The kitchen is a machine of production and you are the brake. Every time a sauce is finished, the cook bangs a ladle on the table. Assay, he shouts. You walk over. You dip your spoon. You taste. You wait. You nod. The friction with the staff is palpable. The sauce chef, a temperamental man from Naples, watches you taste his bechamel with barely concealed rage. He takes pride in his balance of flavors. When you pause, frowning, trying to discern a hint of almond, he takes it personally. It is perfect, he hisses. Do not insult me. It is thick, you say calmly. I need to be sure the texture is flour, not powder. He spits on the floor. You ignore him. You are not there to make friends. You are there to keep the Duke breathing. By noon, you have tasted 20 different elements. Your palate is fatigued. Your stomach is an acidic churn of wine, spices, raw dough, and rich sauces. And the main meal has not even been served. The noon meal is served in the Great Hall. This is a public performance. The Duke eats in front of his court. This means the assay must be performed in front of an audience. This is theater. You wash your face. You put on a clean tunic. You take your position at the credence table set up in the Great Hall. The room is filled with courtiers, ladies in silk, men in doublets. The noise is deafening, lutes playing, people shouting, dogs barking under the tables. The dishes are brought in a procession with trumpets sounding. The roast boar, the peacocks dressed in their own feathers, the monumental pies. They are placed on your table first. The entire room watches. This is the moment of truth. If you die here, it will be a spectacle. You feel the eyes of the court on you. Are they hoping for a show? Are there assassins in this room, watching to see if their plot has succeeded? You cut a piece of the boar. The skin is crackling and golden. You eat it. You stand there, chewing, facing the Duke who sits on the dais. The room does not go silent. They are used to this, but there is a tension in the air. The Duke is watching. You swallow. You wait the requisite time. It is shorter for the public meal. The food must be hot. You bow. The boar is safe, your grace. The servers whisk the platter away to the high table. You do this for the wine, for the bread, for the soup. By the time the Duke is eating, you are standing back against the wall, invisible again. But your body is working overtime. The mixture of foods in your stomach is heavy. You feel a wave of nausea. Is it the boar? You close your eyes for a second, listening to the internal alarm bells. The nausea passes, just indigestion, just the richness of the food. You watch the Duke laugh, holding a goblet of wine. He is alive. You have done your job. But as the servants clear the plates, you know the day is only half over. The evening banquet is the main event. And tonight, there are rumors of a delegation from a rival family arriving. A family known for their chemists. You slip out of the Great Hall, back towards the kitchens. You need to rinse your mouth. You need to prepare. The long afternoon of tasting lies ahead. The fires are being stoked again. The wheel turns. You are a royal taster, and you have survived until noon. The midday sun hammers against the high stone walls of the palace, but down in the kitchens, the heat is generated by entirely different forces. You are standing in the eye of a culinary hurricane. The preparation for the main dinner service. The dessert is reaching its fever pitch, and the air is so thick with the steam of boiling capons and the smoke of roasting spits that it feels substantial enough to chew. You wipe a layer of grease from your forehead with the back of your hand, careful not to touch your lips. Every surface in the kitchen is slick with it. The noise is a wall of sound. The rhythmic chopping of cleavers, the shouting of the clerk of the kitchen tallying dishes, the clanging of iron pots, and the roaring of the great hearths where whole oxen could be roasted. You are not cooking. You are waiting. You are the final quality control in a factory where a defect means regicide. The master cook is currently assembling a subtlety, an elaborate dish designed to look like something else. It is a castle made of pastry, filled with a meat paste of pork, pine nuts and spices, with sugar-spun towers and a moat of saffron-dyed almond milk. It is a masterpiece of engineering. It is also a nightmare for you. Complex dishes are the enemy. A simple roasted thigh of chicken reveals its secrets easily. You can see the muscle fibers, you can smell the char. But a paste, a mince, a ground mixture hidden inside a pastry shell. It is a black box. Anything could be inside. The pork could be tainted with gray powder. The almond milk could mask the scent of cyanide. The saffron, the most expensive spice in the world, could be covering the metallic tang of mercury. The castle is ready for the assay, the cook growls. He hates this moment. He has spent 3 hours building this pastry fortification, and now you must breach it. You step forward with your knife. You cannot simply take a bite of the tower. You must sample the core. You slice into the pastry wall. Steam escapes, smelling of nutmeg and hot pork. You dig your spoon into the meat filling. You take a substantial amount. The protocol for a mixed dish requires a larger sample because the poison might not be evenly distributed. It might be a single pinch of powder dropped into one corner of the mixing bowl. You put the spoon in your mouth. The texture is soft, rich, and cloying. The sweetness of the sugar clashes with the savory pork, a popular flavor profile of the time, but one that makes your job harder. You chew, you wait. You are looking for the crunch of glass, the burn of acid, the numbness of aconite. The kitchen watches. The boy turning the spit pauses. The sauce chef stops whisking. For a moment, the only sound is the crackle of the fire. You swallow. The heavy paste lands in your stomach, joining the figs, the bread, the wine, and the morning's tasting of sauces. You feel a wave of fullness. This is the occupational hazard no one talks about, the chronic, low-level nausea of constant eating. You are never hungry, yet you must always eat. It is safe, you say. The kitchen explodes back into motion. The pastry castle is loaded onto a silver platter. But you are not done. The dinner consists of 3 courses, each with 4 or 5 dishes. You must assay them all. There is a pike from the river, boiled in wine and covered in a green sauce of parsley and sage. You taste the fish. It is muddy, bottom-feeding flesh. You taste the sauce. It is sharp with vinegar. There is a blancmanger, a white dish of rice and chicken stewed in almond milk and sugar. You taste it. It is bland, soothing, innocent. Or is it? White arsenic disappears perfectly into white rice. You take a second spoonful just to be sure. There is a salad of bitter greens dressed with oil and vinegar. Raw vegetables are dangerous for reasons other than poison. They carry the humors of the earth and can cause fluxes of the stomach. But you must eat them. The vinegar makes your eyes water. By the time the procession forms to take the food to the great hall, you have consumed the equivalent of a full meal. Your stomach is tight. Your head is aching from the heat and the tension. But you must now perform. You walk ahead of the servers. The procession is a display of power. The trumpets blast as you enter the great hall. The room is vast, the ceiling lost in shadow, the walls hung with tapestries that dampen the sound of hundreds of diners. The Duke sits at the high table on a raised dais, overlooking the room like a god. He is talking to a bishop, laughing, his hand resting on the hilt of his dagger. He looks relaxed. You know he is not. He is waiting for you. The service of the table is a rigid dance. The head server places the dishes on the credence table. You stand beside him. The carver stands ready with his array of knives. The cupbearer guards the wine on the sideboard. You are the quartet of safety. The ritual of the assay for the high table is more formal than in the kitchen. Here you use the assay bread. You take small squares of stale bread, specifically cut for this purpose. You dip a piece of bread into the sauce of the pike. You eat it. You dip a piece into the stew. You eat it. Then comes the salt. The great salt cellar, a massive golden ship encrusted with jewels, sits in front of the Duke. Salt is a symbol of status and hospitality, but it is also a prime vector for poison. You cannot just taste the salt, it would make you vomit. Instead, the carver takes a piece of bread, touches it to the salt, and hands it to you. You eat the salty bread, you wait, the court watches. They are eating their own food, served from the common kitchen, but they pause to watch the ritual at the high table. As a reminder of the Duke's mortality, you signal that the salt is safe. The cover of the cellar is lifted. Then the water, not for drinking but for washing hands. The Duke will rinse his fingers in rosewater before eating. If the water is poisoned, it could be absorbed through the skin or he might lick his fingers. You pour a splash of the rosewater into your assay cup. You drink it. It tastes like perfume. It is cloying and floral. You wait to see if your throat closes up. It does not. You bow. The meal can begin. You retreat to your standing position against the wall behind the Duke's chair. You are invisible again, but you are not off duty. You must watch the table. You must watch the guests. If the bishop hands the Duke a piece of fruit from his own plate, you must intervene. You must step forward, apologize for the interruption, and slice the fruit. You must eat half of it. The bishop will smile tightly, offended. The Duke will watch you chew. It is a social violation that saves lives. The dinner lasts for 2 hours. 2 hours of standing on stone floors in thin-soled shoes. 2 hours of smelling the roasted meats, the spiced wines, the sweat of the packed bodies. The air in the hall grows heavy and stale. The dogs fighting for scraps under the table snap and snarl. The noise is a dull roar. You feel a cramp in your gut. Sharp twisting, your breath catches. You freeze. Is this it? The pastry castle, the pike, the green sauce. You analyze the pain. Is it burning? No. Is it spreading? No. It is lower in the intestines. It is the result of eating rich pork pastry and sour fish and raw greens and sugared rice all within 20 minutes. It is the indigestion of the profession. You shift your weight slightly, trying to ease the pressure. You cannot leave. You cannot grimace. You must stand like a statue of vigilance. The cramp passes, leaving a dull ache. You exhale slowly through your nose. As the meal winds down, the void is served spiced wine and candied fruits and nuts, intended to settle the stomach and freshen the breath. These are the dragees. They are small, hard, and easily tampered with. A coated pill of poison looks exactly like a sugar-coated almond. The cupbearer brings the tray of spices. You take a comfita fennel seed coated in sugar. You crunch it. The anise flavor explodes in your mouth. You wait. You take a candied ginger root. It is hot and sweet. You wait. The Duke waves his hand. He is full. He is tired. The meal is over. The trumpets sound again, signaling the end of the service. The court rises. The Duke retires to his private solar for his afternoon rest. You are dismissed, but your work is not done. You must now deal with the aftermath. You return to the kitchens. The chaos of service has been replaced by the chaos of cleanup. The scullions are scrubbing the great copper pots with sand. The leftovers are being gathered. In a normal household, the leftovers are the perk of the servants. In the Duke's household, the leftovers are still a matter of security. You have to oversee the breaking of the broken meat. The food from the high table that was touched but not finished cannot just be thrown to the dogs or given to the beggars immediately. If the Duke falls ill in an hour, this food is the evidence. You have to secure the specific plates the Duke ate from. You cover them with linen cloths and place them in a locked cupboard in the pantry. You keep the key. Only now, around 3 in the afternoon, does the pace slow. The kitchen staff slump on benches, drinking small beer and eating the remnants of the common dishes. They ignore you. You sit on your stool by the credenza. You are exhausted. The adrenaline crash is hitting you hard. Your hands are trembling slightly, not from fear, but from the sudden cessation of fear. This is the time for your second ritual of the day, the medical ritual. You leave the kitchen and walk out into the herb garden. The air is cooler here, smelling of rosemary and sage. You find a stone bench away from the eyes of the guards. You reach into your pouch and pull out a small ceramic jar. It contains Mithridatium. This is the universal antidote, a electuary named after Mithridates, the ancient king of Pontus who supposedly made himself immune to all poisons. It is a thick, black, tar-like substance. The recipe is a fiercely guarded secret of the court physician. But you know some of the ingredients: opium, myrrh, saffron, ginger, cinnamon, spikenard, frankincense, castor, mustard, garlic, and most importantly, the dried flesh of vipers. It contains over 50 ingredients, ground together with honey and left to age for months. The theory is that by taking a small amount of every kind of poison and antidote simultaneously, the body builds a shield. It is the pharmaceutical equivalent of a stone wall. You dip your finger into the jar. The stuff smells distinctively foul. a mix of medicine, old sweat, and sweetness. You place a glob of it on your tongue. The taste is indescribable. It is bitter, spicy, sweet, and metallic all at once. The opium numbs your tongue slightly. The spices burn your throat. You swallow it down, grimacing. You hate this part of the day. The theriac sits heavy in your stomach, warring with the lunch you just ate. It makes you feel sluggish and strange. The opium gives you a slight buzz, a detachment from reality that helps with the anxiety but makes the physical vigilance harder. You sit for a moment, letting the medicine work. You look at the garden. The plants here are labeled. There is the garden of cooking herbs, parsley, mint, thyme. And over there, behind a low wattle fence, is the physician's garden. You see the tall purple spikes of monkshood, the bell-shaped flowers of foxglove, the delicate leaves of hemlock. They are beautiful. They are death growing out of the dirt. You wonder, not for the first time, why they are allowed to grow within the castle walls. The physician says he needs them for medicines, for salves to treat the heart or the joints. But to you, it looks like an armory. A shadow falls over you. You look up. It is the physician himself. He is a tall, gaunt man in long robes, smelling of dried herbs and vinegar. He looks at the jar in your hand. "You are taking your measure?" he asks. His voice is dry. "Yes, doctor. Good. The humor of the court is dark today," he says, sitting on the bench opposite you. The duke complains of a flux. He says his belly is distended. Your heart stops. "The lunch? No, no." The physician waves a hand dismissively. "He ate too many lampreys last night. Gluttony, not poison, but he is afraid. He has ordered double guards for the evening banquet." "The foreign delegation?" you ask. "The Venetians," the physician nods. "They bring gifts, glassware, silk, and sweetmeats." Venetians, the word sends a chill through you. Venice is the capital of glass, silk, and assassination. They are masters of the subtle art. Their poisons are rumored to be clearer than water and faster than a snake bite. "I will need to inspect the gifts," you say. "The gifts are not for eating," the physician says. "But the sweetmeats, yes. They will present a box of candied citron, a gesture of goodwill. I will taste it." "Be careful," the physician warns. "There are rumors of a new powder from the east. It does not kill instantly. It causes a madness first, a fever of the brain. If you taste it and you go mad," he shrugs. "We will know." He stands up, his robes rustling. "Keep your blood cool, taster. Fear heats the bile, and hot bile mimics the effects of arsenic. Do not confuse yourself." He walks away, leaving you alone with the toxic flowers and the taste of viper flesh in your mouth. You stand up. The brief respite is over. You have to prepare for the evening. The Venetian delegation means the stakes have been raised. It is no longer just a matter of checking for the clumsy malice of a disgruntled cook or a local rival. You are now up against professional statecraft. You walk back towards the palace. The sun is beginning to dip lower, casting long, distorted shadows across the cobblestones. You need to purge your palate. You need to wash the taste of the theriac and the lunch out of your mouth. You go to the well in the courtyard. You draw a bucket of cold water. You rinse and spit, until your mouth feels raw but clean. As you enter the kitchen again, the atmosphere has shifted. The frenetic energy of the midday rush is gone, replaced by a tense, methodical focus. The evening meal is smaller than dinner, usually just 2 courses, but it is more intimate and therefore more dangerous. And tonight with the guests, it will be a diplomatic minefield. The master cook is arguing with the steward. "They want the jellies," the cook shouts. "Crystal jellies set in tiers. How am I to set a jelly in this heat?" "The duke demands it," the steward replies coldly. "The Venetians must be impressed." Jellies, another nightmare. Animal gelatin, boiled down from calves' feet, clarified with egg whites and set into molds. They are transparent, which is good. You can see suspended particles. But they are served cold, which means they don't give off steam or smell. And they are often highly spiced to cover the meatiness of the gelatin. You approach the station where the jellies are being prepared. The cook is straining the golden liquid through a cheesecloth. It looks like molten amber. He pours it into intricate molds shaped like lions. "I need to taste the liquor before it sets," you say. The cook glares. "If you disturb the setting, it will be cloudy. If the duke dies, his eyes will be cloudy," you retort. It is a grim joke, but nobody laughs. He ladles a small amount of the warm gelatin into your bowl. It tastes of meat, cinnamon, and sherry. It coats your tongue. You close your eyes, focusing. Is there a grit? Is there a burning? The kitchen falls silent again, watching you. This is your life. A series of silences followed by a nod. "It is safe," you say. The afternoon wears on. You check the wine casks that have been brought up from the cellar. You check the barrels of oysters that have arrived on ice. Oysters are treacherous, prone to spoiling on their own, even without poison. You have to smell each one. the smell of the sea, of brine and iodine. If one smells like sulfur, it is discarded. You eat a raw oyster. It slides down your throat, cold and living. You wait for the cramp. It doesn't come. Around 5:00 p.m., the servants begin to set the tables in the banqueting hall. You walk through the room, inspecting the setup. You check the salt cellars again. You check the napkins. You check the cups. You are looking for anything out of place, a smudge of powder on a rim, a discolored spot on a linen cloth. You spot a server adjusting a goblet. He looks nervous. His hands are shaking. You watch him from the shadows. Is he just clumsy, or has he been paid? You step out. You there, you say. The boy jumps, nearly dropping the goblet. Signor, why are your hands shaking? I am afraid, signor. The steward said if I break anything, I will be whipped. You look at his eyes. They are wide with simple terror, not the shifting guilt of a conspirator. You take the goblet from him. You inspect it. It is clean. Go, you say. Breathe. He scampers away. You place the goblet back. You cannot trust your instincts entirely. Paranoia makes everyone look guilty. The man wiping his brow looks like he is sweating from guilt. The woman whispering in the corner looks like she is plotting. The dog sleeping by the fire looks like it is feigning sleep. You return to the credenza. The evening draws in. The torches are being lit in the brackets along the walls, casting flickering orange light that makes shadows dance. The castle feels different at night. The stone walls seem to close in. The air gets drafty. The Venetians have arrived. You can hear the commotion at the main gate, the clatter of horses, the shouting of greetings in a dialect you barely understand. The enemy is within the walls. The steward comes to you. He looks pale. The delegation has brought their own wine, he says. A Momsey from Crete. They insist the Duke toast with it. This is a classic move, a gift of wine. To refuse it is an insult. To drink it is a gamble. I will assay the bottle, you say. They have brought 3 bottles, sealed with wax. I will open one. I will drink a glass. I will wait. There is no time to wait an hour, the steward says, wringing his hands. They want a toast immediately upon entry. Then I will drink it in front of them, you say, and I will pray it is a fast poison. Steward looks at you with a mixture of pity and relief. He is glad it is you and not him. Come, he says. You follow him to the antechamber where the guests are assembling. The Venetians are dressed in robes of crimson silk, their fingers heavy with rings. They look like exotic birds. Their leader, a man with a pointed beard and eyes like black glass, holds a bottle of dark wine. He smiles as you approach. It is a smile that doesn't reach his eyes. The Duke's taster, he says, in heavily accented Italian. We have heard of your diligence. I'm here to serve Excellency, you say, bowing. He holds out the bottle. A vintage from the sun-drenched rocks of Crete, sweet as honey, safe as mother's milk. You take the bottle. The wax seal is intact. It bears the crest of the Lion of St. Mark. You break the seal with your knife. The cork pops with a soft thud. The aroma hits you rich, raisiny, heavy alcohol. A servant hands you a glass. You pour. The wine is the color of blood. The Venetian watches you. Word watches you. The guards watch you. You lift the glass. To the Duke's health, you say, and you drink. The wine is thick and incredibly sweet. It coats your mouth like syrup. It is delicious. And because it is so strong, so sweet, and so complex, it could hide anything. You could mask a lethal dose of arsenic, hemlock, and monkshood in this glass, and no one would taste it until their hearts stop. You swallow. You lower the glass. You look at the Venetian. He is still smiling. Excellent, he says. Now you have to stand there. You have to escort them into the hall. You have to watch the Duke drink the same wine. And you have to wonder with every beat of your heart if you have just killed yourself. The doors to the great hall open. The music swells. You walk into the lion's den, the taste of potential death sweet on your lips. The evening banquet has begun. The Momsey wine sits in your stomach like a pool of warm lade. It has been 10 minutes since you swallowed it in the antechamber, and now you stand at your post behind the Duke's chair, your back pressed against the cold stone of the wall, waiting for your body to betray you. The great hall is a cavern of noise and shadow. The torches in their iron brackets sputter and hiss, casting long, erratic shapes that dance across the vaulted ceiling. The smoke from the fire pit in the center of the room drifts upward, stinging your eyes and adding a haze to the air that makes it difficult to see clearly across the tables. The banquet has officially begun. The tables are groaning under the weight of the first course, the antipasti. There are platters of cured meats, mountains of hard cheese, and bowls of pickled vegetables. But your attention is turned inward. You are performing a silent, desperate scan of your own physiology. You feel a flush of heat rising in your cheeks. Is it the alcohol? Momsey is potent, fortified wine. Or is it the fever that precedes the convulsions of monkshood, You flex your fingers behind your back. They respond. No numbness. You swallow. Your throat is clear. The Duke raises the goblet, the same vintage you just assayed, and toasts the Venetian ambassador. To the Republic, he booms. His voice is steady, but you see the way his knuckles show white as he grips the stem of the cup. He drinks. You watch his throat work. One swallow. Two. He sets the goblet down. Now there are two of you waiting to die. The service begins in earnest. The servers swarm into the hall like a disciplined army, carrying the first hot dishes. The noise level rises, the clattering of knives, the tearing of bread, the roar of conversation. The Venetians are loud. They laugh with their mouths open, their gold teeth catching the candlelight. They are eating with gusto, tearing into the pheasant and the boar. This is a diplomatic game. If they eat heartily, they are signaling trust. If they pick at their food, they are signaling suspicion or worse, foreknowledge. You watch the ambassador. He is eating a wing of roasted capon. He wipes grease from his beard with a silk napkin. He looks at the Duke. Your kitchens are bountiful, your grace, he shouts over the din. We do what we can, the Duke replies. He has not touched the capon. He is waiting for you. The sewer approaches with a silver platter. On it rests a great pie, a massive, coffin-shaped crust filled with a mixture of chicken, pine nuts, dates, and artichoke bottoms. It is the centerpiece of the first course. The crust is golden and decorated with the Duke's crest in saffron paste. This is your cue. You step forward from the shadows. The conversation at the high table falters slightly. The Venetians watch. This is the part of the ritual they find most amusing, the barbaric necessity of the taster. In Venice, assassination is more subtle. Here, the defense against it is performative. You take your knife. You cut a triangular wedge from the pie. Steam escapes hot and fragrant. It smells of savory meat and sweet dates. You lift the wedge to your assay plate. You take a bite. The crust is short and buttery. The filling is rich. You chew thoroughly. You are looking for the telltale texture of foreign objects, but also for the flavor of spoilage. Meat pies are notorious. If the meat was slightly turned before it was baked, the spices would mask the rot, but the toxin of the decada, tamin, would still be there. It wouldn't kill the Duke instantly, but it would incapacitate him, leaving him vulnerable to a political coup while he lay retching in his bed. You taste the artichoke. It is metallic, but that is the nature of the vegetable. You swallow, you wait. The Duke watches you. He is not looking at the pie. He is looking at your eyes. He is looking for the dilation of the pupils that signals belladonna. He is looking for the sudden sweat of cardiac distress. It is good, your grace, you say. Your voice sounds distant to your own ears. The Duke nods. The carver serves him a slice. The Duke eats. You retreat to the wall. The wine in your stomach shifts. You feel a sudden sharp cramp. Your breath hitches. You grab the fabric of your tunic. This is it, the momsy, the delayed reaction. The cramp twists your gut like a wet rag. You close your eyes, counting the seconds. 1, 2, 3. The pain subsides. It is followed by a gurgle that is audible to you, though likely lost in the noise of the hall. It is gas. It is the fermentation of the sugar in the wine reacting with the meat pie. It is digestion, not death. But the adrenaline spike leaves you feeling weak. Your knees tremble. You lock them, forcing yourself to stand upright. You cannot faint. If you faint, the guards will assume the Duke has been poisoned. They will seal the doors. They might kill the Venetians. You could start a war by having an upset stomach. The banquet drags on. The courses are relentless. After the pies come the boiled meats, beef and mutton simmered in broth. Then the roasts, herons, storks, and porpoise. Porpoise is considered a fish, suitable for fast days, but it is heavy, oily, and black. It tastes of fish oil and blood. You assay a slice of the dark meat. It is cloying. It coats your tongue in grease. You are no longer hungry. You passed the point of satiety hours ago. Now eating is a physical labor. Your stomach is distended against your belt. You surreptitiously loosen the leather strap by one notch under the cover of your tabard. The pressure is immense, yet you must continue to eat. Every dish that touches the Duke's lips must touch yours first. The Venetians have brought their own entertainment. A troupe of jugglers enters the hall, tossing flaming batons into the shadowy rafters. The firelight flickers wildly. The guests cheer. The distraction is dangerous. While the eyes of the room are fixed on the spinning fire, the table is vulnerable. A hand could slip a powder into a goblet. A servant could switch a plate. You do not watch the jugglers. You watch the hands. You see a page boy, a child of no more than 10, pouring water into the Duke's mixing bowl. His hand shakes. A drop spills. Is it nerves, or is he struggling with the weight of a bribe? You step forward. Hold, you say. The boy freezes. The jugglers are still spinning fire, but the Duke turns. The water, you say. Let me taste it. I just poured it from the ewer, sir, the boy stammers. Pour me a cup. The boy pours. You drink the water. It is cold. It tastes of the well. It is safe. Go, you say. The Duke looks at you. He knows what you did. You are establishing dominance over the space. You are reminding everyone that you are watching. The second course arrives. This is the subtlety. It is a sculptural masterpiece made of sugar and almond paste. It depicts St. George slaying the dragon. The dragon is green with pistachio. St. George is white with sugar. Blood made of raspberry syrup flows from the dragon's neck. It is beautiful. It is also a minefield. Sugar is the perfect medium for crystals. The master cook has outdone himself, but he has also created a problem. The Duke wants the head of the dragon. The ambassador wants the tail. You have to assay both. You slice off the dragon's snout. You eat it. It is intensely sweet, almost burning your throat with sugar. You slice the tail. You eat it. The sugar rush hits you almost instantly. Your heart rate speeds up. This is a physiological reaction to the glucose, but it feels like panic. Your hands shake. You clasp them behind your back. The dragon is conquered, you announce. The guests applaud. They think you are part of the show. As the second course is cleared, the atmosphere in the hall shifts. The wine has done its work. The conversation is louder, slurred. The Duke is laughing more freely. His cheeks are flushed. You watch him obsessively. Is that flush from the wine, or is it the heat of a fever? He rubs his temple. Is that a headache, the first sign of vapors? He catches your eye. He raises a brow. Am I dying? He asks silently. You give a microscopic shake of your head. Not yet. Then the challenge comes. The Venetian ambassador stands up. He claps his hands. Two of his own servants enter the hall. They are carrying a small wooden chest. Your Grace, the ambassador announces, the room quieting down. We bring a gift from the Doge himself. A delicacy from the East arrived in our port only last week. He opens the chest. Inside, nestled in straw, are small, round jars sealed with wax. Preserved ginger, the ambassador says, in a syrup of honey and rare spices. It is said to aid the digestion and stir the blood. The room murmurs. Ginger is expensive. Preserved ginger is a kingly gift. The Doge sends his love, the ambassador says, lifting a jar. Will you honor us by tasting it? The Duke hesitates. This is not food from his kitchen. This has not passed through the chain of custody. This is a blind item introduced directly to the table by a potential enemy. To refuse is a diplomatic insult. It implies the Doge is a poisoner. To accept is madness. The Duke looks at you. You step forward. The room goes silent. The jugglers stop. The dogs stop barking. This is the real drama. I will assay the gift, you say. The ambassador smiles. Of course, we would expect nothing less. He hands you the jar. You break the wax seal. The scent is powerful, sharp, spicy, medicinal. It smells like pepper and lemon and fire. You take a spoon. You dig out a piece of the ginger root dripping with thick amber syrup. You look at the ambassador. He is watching you with the stillness of a viper. Is this it? Is this the moment? A poison hidden in a gift from a head of state would be a bold move, a declaration of war. But if they have an antidote, or if the poison is slow enough that they can escape before it takes effect, you put the ginger in your mouth. The heat is shocking. It is far hotter than the dried ginger used in the kitchen. It burns your tongue, your roof, your throat. It makes your eyes water. You chew. The texture is fibrous and sticky. The syrup coats your throat. You swallow. The fire travels down your esophagus and lands in your stomach, sitting on top of the wine and the pork and the sugar. It feels like you have swallowed a coal. You wait. The heat in your mouth makes it hard to detect other sensations. Is there a numbing, a tingling? You focus on your extremities. Are your fingertips cold? Is your vision blurring? The silence stretches. 10 seconds, 20 seconds. The ambassador is still smiling. 30 seconds. Your stomach churns, reacting to the spice. Bead of sweat rolls down your spine. It is warming, you manage to say. Your voice is raspy from the spice. It is potent, the ambassador agrees. Wait for the warmth to spread. You wait. A minute passes. The Duke is staring at you, his hand halfway to the jar. You feel a wave of dizziness. You grip the edge of the table. Is it the ginger, or is it the sheer exhaustion of the day, the heat of the room, the lack of air? You force yourself to breathe through your nose. 2 minutes. If it were cyanide, you would be dead. If it were strychnine, your muscles would be twitching. It is safe, you say. You do not feel safe. You feel sick, but you do not feel poisoned. The Duke takes the jar. He eats a piece. He coughs at the heat. Powerful indeed, he gasps. My compliments to the Doge. The tension breaks. The music starts again. The ambassador sits down, looking satisfied. You retreat to the wall. You are trembling violently now. The ginger is wreaking havoc on your digestion. You feel the acid rising in your throat. You swallow it down. You cannot vomit. Not here, not now. The third course arrives, the void. This is the end of the meal. Spiced wine, comfits, marzipan, and wafers. It is intended to settle the stomach, but for you it is just more volume. You assay a wafer. It is dry and brittle like communion bread. You assay a sugared almond. You assay the Hippocras, the spiced wine. Finally, the Duke stands. The banquet is over. We will retire, he announces. The guests bow. The Duke sweeps out of the hall, his guards flanking him. You follow. You are part of his shadow. As you leave the great hall, the temperature drops. The corridors are drafty and cold. The sweat on your body turns to ice. You are walking toward the private chambers, but your night is not over. The Duke will need a posset, a warm drink of milk and ale before he sleeps. You will have to taste that too. You reach the Duke's solar. He dismisses the guards at the door, keeping only you and his valet. He sinks into a chair, unbuttoning his doublet. He looks old. The performance of the banquet has drained him. The ginger, he says, looking at you. Did it burn you? Yes, your grace. It burns me too, he says. He rubs his stomach. I feel a fire in my belly. It is the spice, your grace, you say, praying you are right. It is meant to heat the blood, or boil it, he mutters. The valet brings the posset cup. It is warm, smelling of nutmeg and curdled milk. You take the cup. You are so full you think you might burst. The thought of warm milk and ale is repulsive. You take a sip. It is thick and creamy. You swallow. Safe, you whisper. The Duke takes the cup. He drinks. Go, he says. Rest. You look like a corpse. Thank you, your grace. You bow and back out of the room. The heavy door clicks shut. You are alone in the corridor. The silence is sudden and absolute. The noise of the banquet is a distant hum. You lean against the stone wall, sliding down until you are crouching on the floor. You put your head between your knees. You have survived the day. You have eaten breakfast, dinner, and supper. You have tasted wine, water, and poison-adjacent spices. You have acted as a biological shield for a man who treats you like a piece of furniture. But as you sit there, in the dark corridor, you realize something terrifying. The day is over, but the night has just begun. And the night is when the slow poisons work. The night is when the arsenic, accumulated in small doses over weeks, begins to shut down the kidneys. The night is when the gut, overloaded and abused, can twist into a knot that kills as surely as a knife. You check your body again. The ginger still burns. The momsy still sits heavy, but your heart is beating steadily. Your lungs are filling with air. You stand up. You need to go to the latrine. You need to try to sleep. You begin the long walk down to the servants' quarters. The castle is sleeping, but it is not quiet. You hear the rats scuttling in the rushes. You hear the wind howling around the towers. As you pass the kitchen, you see a light. The embers of the fire are still glowing. The master cook is there, sitting on a stool, drinking the dregs of the wine. He looks up as you pass. Still alive, taster, he slurs. Still alive, cook, you reply. Tomorrow, he says, pointing a greasy finger at you. Tomorrow we have lampreys. Hundreds of them, you better be hungry. You walk on. Lampreys, eel-like blood-sucking fish. A nightmare to clean, a nightmare to taste. You reach your room, it is freezing. You do not light a candle, you know the room by heart. You strip off your tunic, which smells of roast meat and fear. You collapse onto your straw mattress. You lie on your back, staring at the invisible ceiling. You place your hands on your stomach. You are listening. You are waiting. Most people pray for wealth or love or glory before they sleep. You pray for a boring digestion. You pray that the cramp in your side is just gas. You pray that the Duke wakes up, because if he doesn't wake up, you will be blamed. If he dies in his sleep, they will say you failed. They will say you were bribed. They will drag you to the torture chamber before his body is even cold. Your fate is tied to his breath. You listen to the silence, imagining you can hear his breathing 3 floors up. In, out, in, out. You close your eyes. The exhaustion pulls you down like a heavy stone in deep water. But even in sleep, you are not free. You dream of banquets. You dream of tables laden with rotting fruit, of wine that turns to blood in the cup, of the Venetian ambassador laughing as he feeds you a serpent. You wake with a start. The room is pitch black. You don't know what time it is. Something woke you. A sound, a pain. You sit up in the dark. Your heart is hammering against your ribs. You feel a wave of nausea so strong it doubles you over. Your skin is cold and clammy. Is this it? Is this the momsy, the ginger, the gift? You scramble off the bed, fumbling for the chamber pot. Your body is purging. You are violently ill. As you heave into the pot, shivering in the freezing dark, your mind races. Is this food poisoning? Is this a virus, or is this the end? You wipe your mouth with the back of your hand. You sit on the floor, wrapping your blanket around your shoulders. You are shaking uncontrollably. You wait. If it is poison, the pain will get worse. The paralysis will set in. The fire in your veins will consume you. You wait for 10 minutes. The nausea subsides slightly. The shaking continues, but it feels like cold, not convulsions. You touch your forehead. It is wet but cool. It is likely just the food. The mixture of rich, incompatible meats, the heavy wines, the stress. Your body is rejecting the excess. You crawl back into bed. You are weak, empty, and terrified. You pull the rough wool blanket up to your chin. You have to sleep. You have to recover. Because the sun will rise in a few hours. And when it does, the Duke will be hungry. And the lampreys are waiting. You drift into a fitful, shallow sleep, haunted by the taste of bitter almonds. The dawn does not break so much as it bruises the sky, a sullen purple fading into a sickly gray. You are awake long before the light touches the stone floor of your chamber. You are lying in the fetal position, your knees pulled up to your chest, shivering under the thin wool blanket. The violence of the night has passed, leaving you hollowed out, a husk of a person scraped clean by the body's desperate need to purge itself. You run your tongue over your teeth. They feel fuzzy, coated in the residue of bile and exhaustion. Your throat is raw, scorched by the acidity of the vomit. But you are alive. You sit up slowly, testing the equilibrium of your head. It swims, a dizzying rotation that forces you to close your eyes and grip the edge of the mattress. This is the taster's hangover. It is not caused by alcohol alone, though the momsy played its part, but by the toxic cocktail of anxiety, conflicting spices, rich fats, and the sheer volume of food your system was forced to process. You have survived the night, but the victory feels Pyrrhic. You are weaker today than you were yesterday, and the threats have not diminished. There is a knock at your door. It is not the servant boy with water. The knock is too heavy, too authoritative. Enter, you croak. The door opens and the court physician sweeps in. He looks like a crow in his long black robes, his beak-like nose sniffing the stale air of your room. He is carrying a wooden box and a glass flask. He does not ask how you are, he knows. The servants would have told him you were ill in the night. To him, you are a canary in a coal mine that started coughing. He needs to know if it was the gas or just a cold. Stand, he commands. You push yourself up, your legs trembling. You stand before him in your linen undergarments, shivering in the morning chill. He circles you. He pulls down your lower eyelid with a cold thumb, checking the color of the sclera. Pale, he mutters. No jaundice, no petechiae. He takes your wrist, his fingers pressing hard against your radial artery. He counts the beats, he frowns. Thready, fast, the heart is laboring. He hands you the glass flask. Pass water, he says. You turn your back and oblige. This is the science of uroscopy, the diagnostic gold standard of the era. You hand the warm flask back to him. He holds it up to the window, squinting through the amber liquid. He swirls it. He looks for clouds, for blood, for the circle of clouds that indicates a corruption of the humors. Clear, he pronounces, sounding almost disappointed. Dark but clear. You are dehydrated. It was a flux of the stomach, likely the ginger clashing with the pork. Sets the flask down and opens his wooden box. Inside are rows of small clay pucks stamped with a seal. This is terra sigillata, sealed earth. It is clay from a specific island in the Mediterranean, dug up on a specific holy day, refined and stamped by monks. It is believed to be a potent absorbent of poisons. Eat, he says, handing you a clay tablet. You put the disc in your mouth. It tastes like dust. It sucks the moisture from your tongue, turning into a gritty paste that coats your throat. It is like eating the floor of a pottery shop. You swallow it dry. Drink water, he orders, and nothing else until the midday meal. The Duke goes hunting today. You will ride with the baggage train. Hunting, you ask. The word fills you with dread. Yes, the Venetian ambassador wishes to see the Duke's falcons. There will be a lunch in the woods. You will pack the assays. He leaves you. You are alone again with the taste of clay in your mouth. Hunting. The word implies freedom, open air, sport. For a royal taster, it implies chaos. In the castle, you have the credenza, the locked pantry, the controlled environment of the kitchen. In the woods, there are no walls. There are insects. There is dust. There are 100 hands passing food from saddlebags to grass. It is the most dangerous environment possible. You dress. You put on thicker hose today and a padded doublet. The woods are damp and you will be riding. You do not have a horse. You have a mule. It is a sturdy, obstinate creature that will jostle your already tender stomach with every step. You tie your velvet pouch to your belt, the pouch containing the unicorn horn and the bezoar stone. You check the stone. It is a calcified concretion found in the stomach of a goat. It is ugly, brown, and polished smooth by handling. It is your talisman. You descend to the kitchens. The atmosphere is different this morning. The frenetic energy of the banquet prep is replaced by a sullen, organized confusion. The staff is packing hampers. Wicker baskets are lined with linen. Leather costrals of wine are being filled. The master cook is shouting at a scullion who is dropping apples into a sack. Gently, you oaf, if they bruise, they rot. If they rot, the taster will reject them and I will have your hide. He sees you. He stops. His eyes narrow. He looks at your pallor, your shaking hands. You look like death, he says. It is not a compliment. The ginger, you say simply. He snorts. Venetian fire. Cleans the bowels, you should be grateful. He gestures to a table piled with cold meats. The hunt lunch, roast pheasant, cold pork pies, hard cheese, manchet bread, and dried pears. Simple fare. Simple is good, cold is good. Cold food has less aroma to mask poison, but it also slows the chemical reactions. You walk over to the table. You have to assay the hampers before they are sealed. You pick up a cold pheasant leg. The skin is rubbery. You tear off a strip of meat. It is dry and salty. You chew. The lack of heat makes the flavors muted. You have to concentrate harder. Is there a bitterness in the cure? You swallow, you move to the cheese. It is a wheel of hard Parmesan, aged for 2 years. You use a specialized Tula cheese scoop to core a sample from the center. Poisoners sometimes drill into the rind and inject liquid into the heart of the cheese, sealing the hole with wax. You examine the rind. It is unbroken. You eat the sample. It is gritty with salt crystals, good grit, not glass grit. The packing continues. You watch every item go into the baskets. You watch the baskets being tied shut with intricate knots. You take a piece of wax and seal the knots with your own thumbprint. This is the chain of custody. From this moment until the baskets are opened in the woods, no one can touch the food without breaking the seal. The wine, you say. Already packed, the butler says, pointing to the leather costrals. I need to check the leather, you say. The butler sighs, rolling his eyes. He hands you a flask. You sniff the stopper. You sniff the leather itself. New leather can be cured with urine or strange tannins that can leach into the wine, causing sickness. This leather smells old, seasoned. You uncork it. You pour a drop onto your palm and lick it. It tastes of wine and pitch used to seal the seams. It is safe. By 10:00 a.m., the cavalcade is ready to move. The courtyard is full of baying hounds, stamping horses, and men in green velvet hunting leathers. The Duke is mounted on a massive white destrier. He looks refreshed, the color back in his cheeks. The previous night's excess seems to have evaporated from his pores, leaving him energized. He is laughing with the Venetian ambassador. You mount your mule. It is near the rear of the column, with the pack animals and the cooks. You are effectively luggage. The gates open and the party streams out. Transition from the stone fortress to the countryside is jarring. The light is green and dappled as you enter the forest. The air smells of damp earth, rotting leaves, and horse manure. It is a rich biological smell that makes your stomach turn over. You grip the pommel of your saddle, gritting your teeth against the nausea. The ride lasts for an hour. Your mule has a gait that can only be described as malicious. It finds every pothole, every tree root. Your internal organs feel like they are being juggled. Finally, the horn sounds. The party halts in a clearing. This is the designated lunch spot. Servants rush forward to spread tapestries on the grass. Portable stools are set up. The Duke dismounts. Now your work enters its most difficult phase. You slide off your mule, your legs stiff. You walk to the pack animals. You check the seals on the baskets. They are intact. Break the seals, you order the servants. The baskets are opened. The food is laid out on the cloths. It looks picturesque, a rustic picnic for the nobility. To you, it looks like a hazard. Flies. They appear almost instantly, drawn by the scent of the meat and the wine. Great, buzzing bluebottles. In the castle, you have fans and boys to swat them away. Here, they are an invading army. A fly lands on the pheasant. Did that fly just land on a poisonous mushroom? Did it land on the carcass of a diseased fox? You cannot know. You stand by the Duke's designated spot. You have your knife. The Duke approaches, peeling off his gloves. His hands are dirty, stained with the grease of the rains and the dust of the road. He reaches for a pork pie. Your Grace, you interrupt, stepping in front of the food. The assay. He stops. He looks annoyed. The fresh air has made him hungry and impatient. Be quick about it. You cut the pie, you eat. You cut the cheese, you eat. You pour the wine into your cup. You drink. The Venetians are watching again. They find this rustic ritual amusing. They are eating olives from a jar they brought themselves. You eye the olives suspiciously. The Duke eats. He eats with his hands, tearing the bread. You watch his dirty fingers touching the food that goes into his mouth. You cringe internally. There is nothing you can do about the dirt. You are there for poison, not hygiene. Then the incident happens. The Duke is laughing at a joke. He reaches out to a nearby bush of bramble heavy with blackberries. It is an impulsive, natural gesture. He plucks a handful of berries. Look, he says, nature's bounty. He raises the berries to his mouth. No, the scream tears out of your throat before you can stop it. It is loud, shrill, and completely undignified. The clearing goes silent. The Duke freezes, the berries inches from his lips. The hounds stop panting. The ambassador stares. You rush forward. You fall to your knees. Forgive me, your grace, forgive me. What is the meaning of this? The Duke asks, his voice low and dangerous. The berries, your grace, you cannot eat them. They are blackberries, he says, looking at them. I have eaten them since I was a boy. You do not know what has touched them, you say, your voice trembling. A fox could have urinated on them. A snake could have slithered over them, leaving venom. Or you lower your voice. Someone could have known you would stop here. The Duke looks at the bush. It is innocent looking, but the seed of doubt has been planted. He looks at the berries in his hand. They are dark, shiny, inviting. They look like poison. He drops them. He wipes his hand on his tunic. You are a paranoid wretch, he says, but he doesn't sound angry anymore. He sounds spooked. Clean these away. You scramble to pick up the dropped berries, crushing them into the dirt. You have saved him from a hypothetical danger, but you have ruined the mood. The lunch continues in a subdued silence. The Duke eats only what you hand him. The joy of the wild is gone. You have brought the fear of the court into the woods. As the lunch concludes, you feel a wave of exhaustion so profound it feels like a physical weight. You have been running on adrenaline and clay. You retreat to your mule. You drink water from your own flask. The return journey is slow. The hunting party is tired. The sun is lower, casting long shadows through the trees. You do not watch the scenery. You watch the back of the Duke's head, bobbing in the saddle ahead of you. You count the minutes until you are back within the stone walls. You arrive back at the castle at 4:00 p.m. The gates close behind you with a reassuring clang. You are safe, or as safe as you ever are. You go straight to the kitchen. You need to wash. You need to rinse the dust from your mouth. The clay has finally passed through your stomach, leaving you with a gnawing, hollow hunger. But you cannot eat. The evening meal is being prepped. And tonight, the menu features the lampreys. You walk over to the fishmonger's station. The lampreys are in a bucket of water. They are prehistoric, nightmares-long, tube-like fish with no jaw, just a sucker mouth filled with concentric rows of sharp teeth. They are a delicacy. They are also a biohazard. The slime on a lamprey is toxic if not removed properly. It requires vigorous scrubbing with salt and vinegar. You watch the scullion scrubbing the gray, writhing bodies. His hands are red and raw from the salt. Scrub harder, you say. If there is any slime left, the sauce will be bitter. Yes, senor. The cook is preparing the blood sauce. Lampreys are cooked in their own blood, mixed with wine and spices. It is a black, viscous liquid. It looks like tar. I need to taste the blood, you say. This is the low point of your existence. Tasting cooked blood is one thing. Tasting raw blood to check for spoilage is another. The cook hands you a spoon with a small amount of the dark red fluid. It smells of iron and the river. You put it in your mouth. It is metallic, salty, and cloying. You gag slightly, forcing yourself to swallow. You wait. If the blood is bad, your stomach will reject it instantly. It stays down. Proceed, you say, reaching for water to rinse the taste away. The evening meal is to be served in the Duke's private solar. Just him, the Duchess, and the ambassador. Intimate, dangerous. You go to the credenza to prepare for the service. You are checking the manchet bread, the finest white rolls. You slice one open. Inside the white crumb there is a small, dark speck. You freeze. You pick up your knife. You carefully dig out the speck. You place it on your thumbnail. It is not a grain of wheat. It is not a piece of ash from the oven. It is a mouse dropping. You stare at it. A mouse dropping in the bread means mice in the flour. Mice carry disease. But more importantly, if the Duke finds this, the baker loses his hands. You look at the baker, who is busy taking tarts out of the oven. He doesn't know. You have a choice. You can raise the alarm. The kitchen will be purged. The meal will be delayed. The Duke will be furious. The baker will be maimed. Or you can discard the roll, check the others, and say nothing. You cut open the next roll. Clean, the next, clean. It was a singular contamination. You crush the dropping and flick it into the fire. You throw the tainted roll into the slop bucket. You say nothing. You are not just a safety mechanism. You are a filter for reality. The Duke does not need to know about the mouse. He needs to believe his world is pristine. You absorb the filth so he doesn't have to. The service begins. You carry the lamprey pie up the stairs. The smell is rich and gamey. The solar is warm, lit by a roaring fire. The Duchess is there. She is a pale woman with eyes that seem to see everything and nothing. She barely eats. She lives on wine and wafers. She watches you assay the lamprey. You look tired, taster, she says softly. It has been a long day, your grace. Did the woods agree with you? Nature is unpredictable, your grace, she smiled. It is a thin, cryptic smile. Everything is unpredictable, even this pie. You eat the lamprey. The texture is firm, almost like meat. The sauce is rich and peppery, it masks everything. You wait. Safe, you say. The Duke eats. He loves lampreys. He devours them. You watch him, waiting for him to choke, to gasp, to clutch his throat. He does not. He wipes the black sauce from his lips and sighs with contentment. The Venetians leave tomorrow, he says to the Duchess. Good, she says. I do not like the way he looks at the tapestries, as if he is pricing them. He gave me ginger, the Duke laughs. It burns like the devil. Throw it away, she says sharply. I did, he lies. You know he didn't. You saw him tuck the jar into his personal cabinet. He likes the thrill. He likes the danger. He treats your life's work as a game. The meal ends. You are dismissed. You walk back to the kitchen. The cleanup has begun. You are done with food. You never want to see food again. Your body, traitorously, is starving. You haven't eaten a real meal in 24 hours, only bites of potential poison and a disk of clay. You find a pot of pottage on the servant's fire, a simple stew of oats, cabbage, and bacon. It is peasant food. It is safe because nobody would bother to poison it. You take a wooden bowl. You sit in the corner away from the others. You eat the pottage. It is hot, bland, and comforting. It tastes of safety. As you eat, you reflect on the day. You survived the hangover. You survived the mule ride. You survived the fly-blown picnic. You survived the lampreys, but tomorrow is Friday, fasting day. That means fish, river fish, carp, pike, tench, muddy fish that hide bones like needles. And the Duke has requested a salad of flowers, primroses, violets, and borage. Flowers are hard to clean. Insects hide in the petals. You finish your bowl. You wipe it clean with a piece of brown bread. You stand up to leave, to go to your cold room and your straw mattress. But the master cook calls you. Taster, you turn. He is holding a small, folded piece of paper. He looks pale. This was found, he says, his voice trembling, in the spice box under the saffron. You walk over. You take the paper. You unfold it. Inside is a pinch of white powder. It looks like sugar. It looks like salt. It looks like arsenic. Who had access to the spice box? You ask, your voice calm, though your heart is hammering against your ribs. Only me, the cook says, and the steward, and you. You look at the powder. You wet your finger. You are about to touch it, to taste it. Don't, the cook whispers. It killed a fly. I saw a fly land on it. It died in seconds. You pull your hand back. You look at the powder. It is death distilled, and it was found in the saffron, the spice used in almost every dish for the Duke. Seal the box, you say. Seal the pantry. Wake the steward. The Duke is sleeping, the cook says. Then we wake the guards, you say. This was not an accident. Someone is in the kitchen. You look around the cavernous room. The shadows seem deeper now. The scullions are scrubbing pots, oblivious. One of them, the new boy, the sauce chef who hates you. You realize then that the walls have been breached. The danger is no longer just in the food. It is in the air. The enemy is here. You carefully fold the paper back up. You place it in your pouch next to the unicorn horn. You have evidence now. Lock the doors, you say. No one leaves tonight. The cook nods, his face gray. You stand in the center of the kitchen, the heart of the castle, holding a packet of white death. The silence stretches out, heavy and suffocating. You are not going to sleep tonight. The white powder is on the bench between the master cook and you. It is a terrifying centerpiece to the tense silence that has fallen over the kitchen. The normal sounds of scrubbing and clatter have ceased, replaced by the crackle of the dying embers in the hearth and the ragged breathing of the cook. You are standing in the middle of a massive room that suddenly feels very small, surrounded by tired, suspicious men. I need a witness, you say, your voice low and steady. You gesture toward the two nearest kitchen staff, a young scullion named Pietro and an older, one-eared man who cleans the pots. Come here, both of you. They shuffle forward, their eyes darting between you, the master cook, and the small packet in your hand. They smell the stale wine and the cold grease, but they also smell fear. Look at this, you command, unfolding the paper just enough for them to see the white speckling. It was found in the spice box by the master cook, Pietro gasps. The older man simply narrows his one eye. He has seen things before. The spice box is sealed, you state, more for your own clarity than for theirs. The key is held by the steward, the cook, and myself, no one else. You look at the cook. His face is pale, drawn. He has been up for 20 hours, dealing with the frantic energy of the banquet, the anxiety of the assay, and now this. He is terrified they will think it was him, a disgruntled employee with access. I have done nothing, the cook whispers, shaking his head. I swear on the bones of St. Jude I would never harm the Duke. You believe him. The cook is a glutton and a bully, but he is fundamentally loyal. His pride is in his food. This is not his style. This is the work of a professional, using a trusted servant as a conduit. It is not an accusation, you say, folding the paper and tucking it into a small wooden box you take from your credenza. It is a fact. The palace is breached. We have an enemy among us. You turn to the scullions. You saw this. You will tell no one. Not the steward, not the guards, and certainly not the duke. If this gets out before we have a suspect, the duke will order a purge, and the torture masters work fast. They nod mutely, their eyes wide. They understand the stakes. A kitchen purge means a month of interrogation, the stretching rack, the thumb screws. It is safer to be quiet. Master cook, you say, you will not use any spices tomorrow that came from that box. Any dish requiring spice will be prepared with ingredients bought fresh, with a new seal, and only I will handle them. Do you understand? Understood, he says, relief flooding his face that you haven't called the guards yet. Go to bed, you tell the staff. All of you, and pray you sleep soundly. You wait until they have all shuffled out. The kitchen is vast and empty again. You and the cook are alone. What now? He asks, rubbing his temples. Now we work, you say. The duke sleeps, believing his taster has saved him. We must ensure he is still saved when he wakes. You pull out a stool and sit. You are too tired to stand. The clay, the vomit, the adrenaline, it has all left you operating on frayed nerves and raw willpower. You need to think. The key to the spice box is kept in 3 places. The steward is ambitious, perhaps too ambitious. The cook is loyal. You are you. The powder was placed under the saffron. That implies the person knew the saffron was valuable, used frequently, and would provide a layer of concealment, but they also needed to open the box to place the poison. You eliminate the steward. He is too high status to risk touching the spices himself. He would bribe a lower servant, but if he bribed a servant, the powder wouldn't be hidden under the saffron. It would be sprinkled directly into the dish. This was a direct, clumsy placement in the container itself, intended to be found later or to leach into the spice. You realize the flaw. The powder was placed directly into the container, but you tasted saffron this afternoon. You tasted raw saffron to check its natural bitterness. You leap up, heart pounding. You rush to the credenza. You take out your personal assay cup. You pour a splash of water and swirl it around. You look inside. It is clean. You tasted the saffron before the Venetians arrived. Was the powder placed during the dinner service? By whom? You walk to the master cook's office, a small, dark closet off the main room. You find his logbook, the record of ingredients used. Friday, the day after tomorrow, is fish day. The duke's favorite dish is salad of flowers, a combination of petals, leaves, and sweet herbs. It uses a dressing of oil, honey, and a pinch of ground ginger and saffron. The poisoner knows the menu. They knew the saffron would be used next, and they knew the duke has a high tolerance for bitterness, which the saffron provides. They placed a slow-acting contact poison in the saffron tin, intending for the small amount of poison transferred to the duke's bowl to accumulate over days. You look at the list of staff. You start with the new faces. The new scullion, Tomas, the boy who nearly dropped the duke's cup, who was shaking with fear. Was it fear of the steward or fear of being caught? You walk to the servants' barrack. It is a long, dark room lined with straw mattresses. You wake Tomas. Come with me, you whisper. He looks at you with terror. I did nothing, senor, I swear. Just come, you say. You lead him to a small closet away from the sleeping servants. You hold the wooden box out. This was found in the spice box. I need to know why you were in the kitchen late tonight. I wasn't, senor, I swear. The steward said you were shaking. Why? I was afraid of being whipped, senor. I have a sick mother. If I am fired, she will starve. You did not go near the spice box. He shakes his head violently. No, senor, I wouldn't dare. You stare into his eyes. He is terrified of authority, terrified of poverty, not the focused terror of a spy caught in the act. You let him go. You spend the rest of the night checking and rechecking the kitchen. You find nothing. No strange shoes, no hidden tools, no sign of forced entry. The palace security is airtight. The poisoner is one of the trusted. You realize you are thinking too hard. You are looking for a political conspiracy when the truth might be simpler. You walk to the head carver's room. He is the man who slices the meat at the high table. He handles the silver. He is a man of pride, status, and routine. You knock. Carver, the duke has a query about tomorrow's service. Urgent. The carver opens the door, grumbling. He is a stout, irritable man named Matteo. What is it? The duke wants to know if the silver serving spoon for the fish will be the one with the stag handle or the lion handle. It is a nonsense question designed to test his reaction. A carver would know the difference instantly. The stag handle, of course, Matteo says, rubbing sleep from his eyes. The lion handle is reserved for beef per protocol. He is correct. He is secure in his routine. He is not the man you are looking for. Around 6:00 a.m., the first light of day is filtering into the kitchen. You have not slept. Your body is a wreck, but your mind is sharp with the cold focus of crisis. You walk to the steward's office. He is already awake, reviewing the supply ledgers. Signor, you say, we have a problem. I found this in the kitchen. You place the wooden box on his desk. You tell him the story. You watch his face closely. He looks at the powder. His reaction is immediate, fear, then calculation. Poison, he says, his voice flat. Who do you suspect? The circle is narrow, you say. The cook is loyal. The scullions are too frightened. The carver is too proud of protocol. It leaves very few options. You are looking at him. He knows you are looking at him. You suspect me? He asks, his hand moving to the silver chain around his neck. You have the motive of ambition, you say, simply stating the fact. And you have the motive of incompetence, he sneers. A poor taster is an expensive taster. Why would I kill the Duke when he pays me so well? He has a point. His prosperity is tied to the Duke's longevity. The Duke's bell rings from the private chambers. It is a loud, insistent clang. The Duke is awake. Go, the steward orders. The Duke is hungry. Deal with the food. I will deal with this. You leave him in his office. You know you have less than an hour before he takes action, either to genuinely find the culprit or to frame you. You go to the kitchen. The cook is already prepping the lampreys again per yesterday's order. But today is Friday, fasting day. The Duke will want river fish, not lampreys. Where are the fish, you ask the cook. On the block, carp and pike. The Duke sent a note last night after the banquet. He wants a new dish fish broth of the old style. Simple, clean, simple and clean. This is good news. Simple broth is harder to hide things in. You inspect the carp. It is a large, muddy freshwater fish. It smells of the river bottom. You watch the cook scale it. You watch him clean the gut cavity. The danger of freshwater fish is the bone. Pike has a labyrinth of tiny, sharp bones. If a bone lodges in the Duke's throat, he chokes. It is an accident, but it looks like a successful assassination. Cut the fish into large pieces, you order. The broth must be strained through a sieve. No particles. You need to check the remaining spices. You go to the pantry. You break the steward's seal on the large communal spice chest. You check the salt barrel. You check the flour sacks. Nothing. The powder was placed deliberately in the small personal saffron tin. You walk back to the credenza. You have no mithridatium left. You swallowed the last of the sealed earth yesterday. You are out of defenses. All you have is your vigilance and your body. The Duke's breakfast is ready. A thin fish broth, a piece of boiled carp, and a glass of small beer. You assay the broth. It is thin, salty, and bland. You search for bitterness. None. You look for floating particles. None. You drink half the bowl. You wait. 5 minutes, 10 minutes. Your stomach rumbles, a painful contraction of hunger and emptiness. It is safe, you announce. You take the tray up to the Duke. He is in his robes, sitting by the fire. He looks rested. Good morning, taster, he says. You look unwell. A slight stomach flux, your grace. It passed. He looks at the broth. He takes a spoonful. He sips it slowly. You stand by the door watching. It is good, he says. Clean, no heavy spice, just the fish. He eats the entire bowl. He drinks his beer. He is satisfied. You have survived breakfast. You return to the kitchen. The work begins on the great midday feast. The Duke has ordered the salad of flowers. You have to make the dressing yourself. You lock the fresh oil and vinegar in your personal credenza. You take a new sack of fine white salt. Now the flowers. A huge basket of petals, primroses, marigolds, violets is delivered. They are delicate and beautiful, smelling of honey and spring air. You cannot taste every petal. The poisoner knows this. They could dust a single beautiful violet with a tasteless poison and place it directly onto the Duke's plate. You would never catch it. Wash them, you order the scullions. Wash them in 3 bowls of cold water, gently. Then place them on a clean linen sheet to dry. You make the dressing, olive oil, white wine vinegar, a spoonful of honey. You need the saffron. The visual impact of the golden color is paramount. You take the new saffron, the one you bought fresh. It is in a sealed glass vial. You grind a small amount in your pestle and mortar. The smell is heavy and dry like hay and iodine. You mix it into the dressing. You taste the dressing. It is tart, sweet, and metallic with the natural flavor of the saffron. You wait. It is safe. Now for the trap. You turn to the master cook. The Duke is asking for a small dish of raw saffron, you lie. He wishes to smell the quality of the new batch. Now, the cook asks, confused. Now bring me the old tin, the one we locked away. The cook hesitates. I don't have the key, taster. The steward took all the keys this morning. A wave of cold runs through you. The steward took the keys. You look at the cook. Did you tell the steward about the powder? No, senor. I sealed my lips as you commanded. Then why did he take the keys? He said there was a break-in the pantry. He is changing the locks. Lies. The steward is trying to isolate the evidence. You rush back to the steward's office. The door is locked. You bang on it. Steward, open this door. Where is the saffron tin? I am busy, taster. The pantry is secured. Wait for my command. You look at the lock. It is heavy iron. You look at the guard standing nearby. The steward has taken evidence that points to a plot against the Duke. You say to the guard, your voice flat and urgent. If he destroys it, the Duke dies. I order you in the name of the Duke to break this lock. The guard hesitates. He looks at the locked door, then at your tired, frantic face. I cannot break the door of the steward, taster. You step back. You have no authority. You are just a servant. You run back to the kitchen. You must find the poisoner before the steward silences the evidence. You look at the carver polishing silver. You look at the scullions cleaning flowers. You look at the cook stirring broth. It is simple. The person who placed the powder is the person who had both the motive and the opportunity to open the spice box late at night. The only person you can think of who had enough access and the technical skill to pull this off is the court physician. He has access to poisons. He is trusted, and he was with you last night discussing the poisoning. He also knew you were taking the Mithridatium, but the physician is high status. He doesn't go near the kitchen late at night, unless you look at the scullion Pietro washing the flowers. His hands are in the basin, gently swirling the petals. You walk over. Pietro, show me your hands. He pulls his hands out of the water. They are red and chapped. You said you were afraid of being whipped, you say. Did the steward pay you to put the powder in the spice box? No, senor. I told you I was just afraid of losing my job. Show me your neck. He pulls at the neck of his tunic. You see a thin, bright red line. It is a fresh, healing cut, a surgical line. What is this, you ask? A shaving cut, senor. A cut made by a surgeon, you correct him. You look at his face. His eyes are wide, not with terror of you, but with something else. You turn and look toward the master cook. He is watching you. His eyes are wide with the same realization. You realize the truth. The threat is not the steward. The threat is the person the steward serves. You walk back to your credenza. You take out your knife. Master cook, you say, your voice flat. The Duke is about to receive his flowers. I will slice them and I will taste them. I need you to stand ready with a pot of scalding oil. If I fall, you pour that oil on the boy's head. Do you understand? The cook, seeing the truth, nods grimly. He knows the game is ending. You are about to eat the flowers. You are about to walk the final tightrope. The flowers are laid out on the clean plate. Primrose petals, beautiful yellow and deadly. You have no choice. You must eat them all. You pick up a handful. You bring them to your mouth. The smell is sweet. You chew, you wait, nothing happens. You chew the entire handful of petals. They taste like grass and honey. You stand up, your face grim. Safe, you say. Let the service begin. You carry the flowers to the Duke. You stand waiting for the final test. The Duke is eating the salad of flowers. He is using a small silver fork, picking up the yellow primrose petals and placing them delicately on his tongue. You watch his face, trying to discern the flicker of surprise, the catch in the breath, the sudden redness of the skin. The firelight in the solar is warm and throws deep shadows, making it difficult to read his expression. He chews slowly. The silence in the room is heavy. The Duchess is watching him, too, her pale hands clasped in her lap. The ambassador, who is not eating the salad, is leaning back, a picture of casual indifference. You stand motionless, your hands clasped behind your back, feeling the cold weight of the wooden box containing the poison against your hip. The Duke swallows. He takes a sip of wine. He looks at you. Excellent taster, he says. The flavor of spring. He is safe. The flowers were clean. The poisoner, whoever they are, did not put the deadly final touch on the meal. You breathe a shallow sigh of relief, but the relief is immediately replaced by a new, colder fear. The poison was not in the meal. It was in the spice box meant for tomorrow. And the steward now has the evidence. You are dismissed. You bow, backing out of the solar, leaving the Duke and his guests to their evening. The moment you are out in the corridor, you run. You run down the stone steps, your legs burning, to the steward's office. You slam the door open. The office is empty. The desk is clean. The steward's ledger is gone. The lock on the door is new. The heavy iron hasp is gleaming. The steward is gone. You race back to the kitchen. The master cook is on a bench rubbing his face with his hands. The steward, you gasp. He's gone. He took the ledger. and he has the keys to the pantry. He was here an hour ago, the cook says, his voice dull. Said he was leaving for the night, said he had a fever. A fever. The oldest lie in the court. He is gone. He has fled. The pantry, you say, grabbing the cook's shoulder. We need to check the pantry. Did he open the spice box? I don't know. He locked everything, even my cupboard. You run to the pantry door. It is locked with 3 separate heavy padlocks. You test them. They are solid. The steward has sealed the crime scene and vanished. You have lost the evidence, but you have found the culprit. The steward, consumed by ambition, perhaps funded by the Venetians, planned a slow, subtle death by contamination. He hid the poison, then feigned a discovery, and fled with the evidence, the saffron tin, before he could be implicated. The realization brings a grim finality. You are not a taster anymore. You are a detective, and now you are a target. If the Duke's guards catch you standing here at a locked pantry in the dead of night, after the steward has fled, you will be the prime suspect. You have a motive. The steward could have blamed you for the poison's entry, and now the crime scene is sealed, making it look like you were tampering. You turn to the master cook. The Duke is safe for tonight. He is full. He is tired. He will sleep. But tomorrow we must not let him out of our sight. No food, no wine, no water, until we know what the steward has left behind. What do we tell the Duke? The truth, but we must deliver it carefully. If he panics, he will execute every servant within earshot, and he will blame me for letting the steward escape. You need a strategy. You need to act before dawn. You walk to your room. You take off your clothes, putting on a heavy, rough linen nightshirt. You collapse onto the straw mattress, not to sleep, but to think. Your life is not tied to the Duke's health now. It is tied to your ability to prove your own innocence. You lie in the dark, performing the final inventory. You check your breath. No almond scent. You check your heart, thready but beating. You check your mind, focused. This is the ritual of the night. Listening to the silence, not for sounds of the castle, but for the internal ticking of your own mortality. You fall into a shallow, fitful sleep, less than an hour of true rest. You dream of the steward, his silver chain jingling, burying the saffron tin in the ground. You wake before the first bell. It is still dark. The air is cold, damp, and still. You dress quickly. You walk to the kitchen. The cook is already there, stirring a large pot of water on a low flame. No food today, cook, you say. Just this. He will be angry. He will be alive. You take the pot of warm water. You strain it through a clean piece of silk cloth, filtering out any potential particles. You carry the pot up to the Duke's chamber. You knock on the heavy oak door. The guard opens it. The Duke is still sleeping, the guard whispers. He needs to drink this the moment he wakes, you say. It is a soothing tonic for the stomach. You go inside. The room is dim. The Duke is lying in his massive curtained bed. He looks peaceful, a rare sight. You leave the pot on the bedside table and leave the chamber. Now for the steward's office. You must find the ledger. The ledger will contain the proof, the unusual order of saffron, the missing funds, the correspondence. The guard is still at the door. You look at him. The steward is gone, you say. He has fled the castle. He is the poisoner. He is in danger. I cannot believe that, taster. Then believe this, you say, reaching into your pouch. You pull out the unicorn horn, the narwhal tusk. You hold it up. If the steward has poisoned the Duke's ledger and I touch it, I will know. It is a theatrical lie, but you need to play the role. The guard is a simple man. He believes in magic. You point to the lock. I must get inside, for the Duke's life. The guard looks conflicted. He is loyal to his oath, but terrified of superstition. He steps aside, pulling out a heavy iron key from his belt. I have a master key, he says, his voice a low whisper. The Duke gave it to me for emergencies. Use it quickly, taster. If the steward is found, I will deny everything. You take the key. You open the lock. You enter the office. The office is a small room with a desk, a chair, and a cabinet. You search the desk. Nothing. The ledger is gone. You check the cabinet. It is empty, but you notice something. Behind the cabinet, a single flagstone is loose. You pull the cabinet away. You kneel down. You grip the edge of the loose stone and pull. It is heavy, cold, and comes up with a scraping sound. Beneath the stone, wrapped in a linen cloth, are 3 things: the missing ledger, a small bag of gold coins, and a small, corked bottle of clear liquid. This is not the saffron tin. This is the source. You pick up the ledger. The handwriting of the steward is neat, precise. You flip through the pages. You find a recent entry: purchase of aqua tofana special import. The price is enormous. Aqua tofana, tasteless, odorless, clear as water. A single drop can kill slowly over weeks, mimicking a wasting disease. It is the poison of subtle statecraft. This is what the steward intended. He intended to poison the Duke, then frame you and step into power. You look at the small glass bottle. The clear liquid inside is innocent looking. Death in a glass. You hear footsteps outside. The guard is nervous. Stir, hurry. You quickly replace the flagstone, covering your tracks. You pocket the ledger and the bottle. You close the door and lock it with the guard's key. You hand the key back. The steward took all the evidence, you lie. But the threat is contained. The steward is gone. No one else has access. You walk away, leaving the guard to his nervous watch. You return to your room. You have the truth. You have the ledger, the motive, and the murder weapon. You have solved the crisis, but you have created a new one. You cannot go to the Duke with this. If you show him the ledger, he will order the arrest and torture of everyone the steward spoke to, and the resulting chaos will tear the court apart. He will be so paranoid that he will never eat again, and then he will execute you for holding back the evidence. You must become the hero of the story. You must eliminate the threat quietly without exposing the full extent of the danger. You must dispose of the bottle. You take the bottle of aqua tofana. You look at the liquid. It is potent. It is deadly. You walk to the palace gardens. The sun is just starting to rise, bathing the castle in a cold rose gold light. The world is peaceful. You go to the physician's garden, the one with the poisonous flowers. You go to the well. You pour the clear liquid into the deep, dark water. A tiny, almost imperceptible splash. The poison is diluted to nothingness. It is gone. The murder weapon is destroyed. You keep the ledger. It is your shield. You walk back to the kitchen. The cook is making tea for the Duchess, a mild herbal brew of mint and rosehip. Cook, you say. The steward has fled. He was the traitor. The Duke is safe. How do you know? I know. You smile, a tired, grim smile. We will not speak of this again. The steward vanished in the night, a thief who fled with gold. That is the story. You take a sip of the Duchess's tea. It is hot and soothing. You are assaying it even now when there is no need. It is habit. It is instinct. You go to the Duke's chamber. He is awake. He is sitting on the edge of his bed, drinking the strained water you left him. Taster, he says. You saved me from a flux. The water is excellent. Your Grace, you say. There is news. The steward has fled. He has taken gold from the treasury. He is a common thief. The Duke's eyes narrow. A thief, I trusted him. A common villain, Your Grace, you confirm. He is gone. We are safe. The Duke accepts the lie. A common thief is understandable. A grand conspiracy is terrifying. He prefers the simple explanation. The crisis is over. The Duke will live. You have done your job perfectly. You have eliminated the poison, the evidence, and the panic. You are dismissed. You walk back to your room. You sit on the straw mattress. The sun is fully up now. The day has begun. But for you, the day is only a continuation of the night. You look at the ledger in your hand. This book of secrets is your life insurance. Knowledge of the real threat is a heavy burden. You are no longer a servant taster. You are the Duke's silent protector, his confessor, his secret keeper. You have passed the ultimate test. You survived the poisoning. You survived the framing. You survived the panic. You survived the entire life of a royal taster, but you have paid the price. You are starving, but you have lost the capacity to enjoy food. Your stomach is a pit of acid and anxiety. You are exhausted, but you are too paranoid to sleep deeply. You have risked your life to prove your innocence, and now you have the proof, the ledger, that makes you permanently dangerous to your employer. Your life of fear is not over, it has simply evolved. The fear is no longer external in the cup or the plate. It is internal. It is the fear of your own knowledge. It is the fear that you know too much to ever be safe. You stand up. You walk back to the kitchen. The master cook is busy shouting orders. Life is returning to normal. Cook, you say, what is for lunch? Roast goose, taster, simple and clean. Do you want to try a bit of the stuffing? You pick up a small, glistening piece of the bread and sage stuffing. You chew it slowly. You wait. It is delicious. It is perfect. It is safe. But as you swallow, you feel no joy. Only the cold, persistent relief that the food did not kill you. That is the final price of the job. You have lost the simple, human pleasure of eating. You are condemned to a lifetime of suspicion, where every meal is a forensic exercise and every flavor is a potential alarm. You sit on your stool by the credenza, listening to the bustle of the kitchen. You are tired, cold, and empty, but you have earned another day. You have survived.